Welcome to Fika's Focus. Voices leading change.
Welcome back to Fill the Gap. We're back here with Lauren. How are you?
Hey Ray, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited about this one. We are chatting about Te Whariki. Te Whariki being the founding or the early childhood curriculum document that we utilise to create all these wonderful experiences for children. It's something, I just want to give some background for me coming out of a primary school situation. I had never seen this document in all my primary teaching. Well, not that I recall seeing it, but I certainly didn't see it at an educational level like university and things, which we'll talk to in a second. I actually came across this document for the first time in my life when I was living in Qatar, in Doha, which is crazy, but they were implementing parts of it into national schools through cognition education. And I just remember picking up the document and being like, what the heck? Like, this is a document that we should be using at schools. And there were so many parts of it that really sung out to me. So we're just bringing some light in terms of this document and what it does for us. So let's start with that. In your own training, though, Lauren, you saw the document as well as New Zealand curriculum.
Yeah. So at uni, we got given our own copy of Te Whariki. It wasn't this version because I studied a few years ago. It was the older version, the 1996 version. But we got given that copy and the NZC. So we had both when we studied our curriculum paper at uni.
What was their thought there?
I think at the time, it wasn't as developed into play-based learning as it is now.
Sure.
So when I studied then, I think for early childhood teachers, we needed both because we were essentially then preparing them for school.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
The research has changed now and that's not the mindset. But back when I studied, that was definitely a huge part of our training.
Yeah. See, obviously early childhood's been around a long time. It just fascinates me that we didn't see it at our training. Or not, again, maybe I wasn't paying attention or maybe I was hungover. I don't know. I was a 19, 20-year-old, but I don't, because I remember picking up the document and thinking and flicking through it and just, the initial first pages are it's just so beautifully written.
Yes.
And I think, quite frankly, this document really supports what we want, which is social and emotional well-being.
Yeah. And holistic.
Yeah, holistic. It gets us to look holistically at a child and not focus on
academics.
Outcome.
Yeah, agreed.
It's such a beautiful document. And in that space, I think I just want to draw our attention to the overview. The overview page is actually, and it's so easily accessible for whānau as well, right? When we say that, what does that mean? What does it mean that it's accessible for whānau?
So now that they've created the new document, the whole document is actually online. You can find Te Whariki online. It's actually the website and you can access everything. There's videos, there's tutorials, there's a whole realm of information out there for not only kaiko but whānau to access as well. All of the teachers are well versed in Te Whariki, so any questions they can absolutely answer as well. But I think the fact that it's now accessible online has upped people's view, if that makes sense.
And ability to interpret it. Yes.
Because it's quite complex.
Yes, but still simple.
Simplified,
yes.
Exactly.
That's what I mean. The complexity, which is working with young children, and remember, we are really about supporting the sector in this space. The complexity of working with young children is high. However, it's still simple in nature.
Absolutely.
So I just drawing attention to the overview page, which is page 24, 25 of Te Whariki, and the strands are mapped out as simple as well-being, mana atua, belonging, mana whenua, contribution, mana tangata, communication, mana reo, and exploration, mana aoturoa. And goals and learning outcomes. It's just so straightforward.
Yep, so straightforward.
So in application, Lauren, what does it look like for you as a teacher coming in and you're like, cool, here's my group of whatever kids you choose to pick in this example. I go and pick this document. What does it look like in action?
So for me, my age is preschoolers. Yep, that 4.5 to 5. For me, a lot of it is the social skills.
Yes.
They're really heightened, right? Like they're figuring out how to... So if we're looking at that, communication and exploration.
Cool.
A little bit of contribution depending on where they're at in their social learning.
Sure.
So a lot of 4.5-year-olds are figuring out how to interact with others, how to play with and alongside others, how to negotiate, how to problem solve, how to compromise, how to communicate their ideas, but also listen to others. So there's a lot going on in that social realm at 4.5.
So in communication, it talks about they develop non-verbal communication skills for a range of purposes, and that's gestures and movements to express themselves. He kōrero a tinana. So it is actually explicitly asking children to read the room.
Yeah, and to read their friends
Yes.
in the different situations, right? Because at 4.5, they've developed those friendships already.
Yes.
You know, they're already past the friendship stage. They're actually into the real complexities of social learning.
Yes.
How to work with others and actually have a conversation where you've got to take somebody else's perspective. Because at 3, they're not quite there yet. They're like, oh, these friends want to play next to me. Okay, I'm happy with you playing next to me.
You want to share my toy?
Nah, exactly.
Not keen. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Whereas at 4.5, they do want to share because they're feeding off that social interaction, and they also are developing the understanding other people's perspectives, other people's opinions, and then how that affects the play and how that affects them.
Yes. Okay. And in terms of just pure planning, what as a teacher, just so our whānau can understand as well, you know, what does it look like? Do I pull something from there and try and marry it up, or how does that look like in action?
In an ideal world, getting the knowledge out there about Te Whariki to our whānau are really important because their aspirations matter.
Yes.
Their aspirations around what they want for their tamariki should govern everything that we do as educators.
Yes.
So that, I think, is really important to highlight in this space, is that we need to know what they want for their children in our care.
Yes.
Whether that is as simple as being safe and secure, or whether that is actually developing communication skills, friendships with others, confidence within themselves, confidence to speak up, you know. Not so much the, for lack of a better description, formal learning, you know, reading and writing, because we're learning that schools are going a lot more play-based, using Te Whariki as part of their teaching as well. But I think getting from the whānau exactly what they want out of their children.
And that trend has seen huge momentum in primary settings. Like, I've always felt uncomfortable about the fact that education systems can share what information they choose to share. That's a very concerning position for education systems to sit in. You know, like, I capture all this information about my child, about your child, and I can share back to you what I choose to share.
Yeah.
That's strange to me. So having whānau up front, what it does is it puts a line in the sand and says, right, Lauren, you've come to me about Sammy, and as a whānau, we've sat down and said, right, what are your aspirations? You've said, I would love for Sam to really be part of a friend group, to interact positively and be able to solve issues when they arise. And we're like, cool, we all agree on it. Then actually we now need to report on that.
Yes.
That's the beauty of that space.
And because we're in a team environment too, you're getting multiple perspectives within that team, and you're capturing, because the team environment, you're capturing all of those different moments throughout the day, throughout the week. You're getting quite an accurate representation of actually where your child's at with us linking back.
We can really pull those pieces out from Te Whariki explicitly. Like we're saying, we're talking literally, like, their play is valued as meaningful learning, and the importance of spontaneous play is recognised.
But I think Te Whariki being the idea of it being a woven map, right? A child that doesn't have a sense of belonging isn't going to interact positively with others because they don't feel confident enough and safe enough and secure enough that they belong in the physical environment, never mind the social, emotional, mental work. They literally just the physical environment, they're not going to get to that.
No.
So it's really important for kaiko to have a knowledge around every single strand in Te Whariki, because that could be the reason as to why they're not achieving that learning outcome.
It gives us a blueprint.
Yeah.
It's effectively a blueprint of, dare I say, diagnosis to support their learning to be at greater heights.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And our knowledge around this document also allows us to then communicate with families around that. This is where we want little Ray to be at the end of 6 months, say, and then that's when we've got to put our educator hat on and say, well, actually, timeframes don't work in ECE. It's really important that, because we're open all year round, that there is no time frame. The child will achieve that milestone and that aspiration when they're ready, and with our scaffold and their support. So it's a collaboration.
And quite frankly, if I'm being honest, and this is entirely my opinion, I don't think timeframes only really apply in schooling because of the school year. I don't.
In terms of learning?
I mean, yeah, it's just not really applicable, but in saying that. Okay, Te Whariki. Beautiful document. I think you can just look up, you just type into Google Te Whariki, it'll come up. There's PDF versions available. Every early learning centre should have Te Whariki.
Multiple copies.
Yeah, they should have multiple copies of them. They are pretty easily to access. I personally like to have my own copy because I can write it. This isn't my mine's at home, but it's just making sure that we give people an insight into it. And again, I think quite frankly, it's such a beautiful document. It is well written, and I'm sure it'll continue to be revised in time. But absolutely beautiful document. So, okay, thank you, Lauren. We appreciate this little fill the gap on Te Whariki.
Thanks, Ray.